Hello, actors! Welcome to another masterclass featured by Reflect the Dream School of Acting. And tonight we have I want to say LA actor, but he's like Chicago / LA actor, Josh Bywater. Now, I just want to give a shout out on how Josh and I connected because it's something that I share with all of you students. And so I just love this. This is what I would call natural networking. He is familiar with our business coach, Jessica Ambule, and just through her, we shared a connection. We met each other on Zoom. I just reached out to him, guys. I think I just, slid into his email and it all worked, all very natural. So he is here. He's going to be sharing with us his experience. He's been in this business for over 20 years. So he has such a wide range of TV and film credits. And I'm just so excited to just ask some questions, get to know, like, how did you do this? And why are you still doing this? And just tips and tricks. So without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce our master coach, Josh Bywater. And I think what I would love to start off with, Josh, and let me spotlight you for everybody. What I would love to start off with is the question, just tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, let us get to know, who are you?
Cool. Great. Thanks so much for asking me to be here, and welcome to everyone that's popping up. I'm looking forward to this, and I hope you get some knowledge from this, or maybe entertainment.
Oh, I muted you, Josh, on accident. That was
well. Listen, I'm already talking too much, aren't I?
No, that was me. I'm trying to.
No, I get it. So me, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, originally. I didn't, since this is an acting seminar, I'll just keep it with that. I didn't think about acting until I graduated high school. I did some plays when I was in grade school, but it didn't even occur to me to do any of this during high school. And I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself and my life after post-graduation. So people would ask me at graduation parties, hey, what are you going to do? And one of those, I said, maybe acting. I don't know, because I liked Die Hard movies. I loved the feeling, the action. I loved all kinds of movies, but I loved that feeling that I got from watching any particular film.
Yeah.
I like the escape from worldly clamors. And I went to school, Webster University in St. Louis. I took an intro to acting for non-majors in that halfway through college, and to see if I liked it, see if I was any good at it. And it was an easy art credit. And the teacher, who was a professional actress in town, she encouraged me to keep going. I did a scene with a buddy of mine who's I've known since high school. He is not an actor. He's the opposite end of the spectrum of human beings from me. I'm the emotional one. He's the logical one. And we did a scene together. And the teacher said, Susie Wall, she said, have you ever done this before? I said, no. She goes, are you sure? I said, yeah. She said, well, you can maybe just keep going if you, if you want. So I did. I graduated with a degree in history, politics, and law. And then I just went right to acting afterwards. And I haven't looked back since.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is when you first graduated from undergrad, you're saying?
From undergrad, yeah. I jumped into community theater in St. Louis, community theater to semi-professional theater. And then I found myself jumping into the local film community as well, which I think that happened with my first acting teacher. She kind of had a finger on the pulse of the entire town. So I just met people through her. And I don't know. I got lucky. I met the right people. I worked on some of those earlier plays that I worked on are still ones that I hold dear to my heart because of what I learned, of the subject matter. Um, and I worked a bunch. I mean, it's a smaller community, so much less competition. But I worked a bunch, and I learned a shit ton. I got to work with there was a guy named Jeremy Scher who came through St. Louis at one point, and he opened up the doors to things like, I don't know if any of you have heard any of these things. I don't hear about it talked about much, but Suzuki training, which is all about physical and breath work and centering oneself physically in order to be open to whatever the play demands of you emotionally. That and viewpoints, which is they work in tandem really well, and he had worked all over the world, and so I got to do a couple shows with him, and I learned so much from him. So I mean, I got really lucky. And then I'll let you go.
No, I just
Interrupt me at any time, because
no, you're fine, Josh.
as I said before, I will keep going.
It's an interesting story. You're one who someone kind of maybe planted this dream in you, but you said that you had always had an interest in movies. You just never thought that you could be in one until someone maybe looked at you and maybe gave you that yes, maybe they gave you that encouragement. And so, and that could be a story, for many of us. It makes me think of some of the students I work with. They may have had this thought to be in the movies, but sometimes it just takes that one person to believe in you and support you and give you that little push. So I'm glad that happened for you. So tell me then, here you are 20 years later. Why are you still here? What's made you stay?
It's too many years later. A buddy of mine says something that I kind of relate to, which I don't think is absolutely true for me, but he said I'm not good at anything else. And this is a guy who's very good at what he does, and he's one of the most intelligent people I've ever met, actor or not. And that's, for him to say that is, to me, a big deal. I think there are other things that I don't know. I haven't tried anything else. I mean, I've waited tables. I think I'm good at that.
I like it, Josh. I like that you say I'm not good at anything else. Maybe by a show of hands. I don't know if any of you have tried other things. Go ahead, Josh.
I mean, I don't want to say that it's as simple as that I'm not good at anything else. So I guess I'm just stuck with this. I think it's, I don't know to what degrees everyone here is at in their career, if they're just starting, if they've been at it for a while. But I have, considered quitting many times, and it could be anything. It's like, I'm done. I've said this is my last show, this is my last whatever, many times. But there's always some experience I have with something, whether it's a reading or a play or a film that hits me right in the heart, and that also allows me to jump in such a way that I leave the experience thinking, no, this is something I'm meant to do. It's not that I'm just kind of dabbling in stuff on the side and it's okay, but when it fulfills me in that way, and whatever I'm doing whatever I'm involved with seems to touch someone in a certain way, that seems bigger than me, those moments really take me back to, no, I'm right where I need to be, and I'm not ready to stop this just yet. Maybe I will in a year, I don't know, but for right now,
I don't think you will. I'm glad you.
I don't think I will either. But.
I'm glad you said that, Josh, because I felt like my coaching ears were on, and I just wanted to say, well, Josh, I think it's because this is what you're supposed to be doing. It's very clear. I mean, the fact that, I'm not good at anything else, I know it's not as simple as that, but perhaps those of you who are listening, maybe you've tried other things. I know when I was pursuing acting as an undergrad, I kind of freaked out, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't be an actor. I can't own business. So I switched my major into nutritional science. I don't even know, but I was like, that seems practical. I tried it for 3 months and it was terrible. And I was like, this sucks. I suck at math. I suck at science. I need to go back in the costume class and my actors. And it's just the only thing I've ever been good at. You know, I'm tall. So I remember getting approached in high school, like, you should try volleyball and basketball. And I tried, and I'm terrible. I'm not athletic. I can't really sing. There's no instruments. You know, in one of our classes, we talk about like hobbies and interests, and it's always like, well, I'm an acting coach. And that's what I do.
Yeah.
So I love that, Josh. And I'm excited that, yes, you are doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So Josh, I want to kind of go back to what you touched briefly on how you started this business. And for me, that's always such a fascinating like answer. Like, I just want to know, how did you do it? How did you get here? You know, how did you find an agent? How did you get to where you are now? Because now, you know, in the business for so long, you're requested for shows and bookings, and it's just, you have a relationship with your agent. You can move to LA and still get work in Chicago. And so can you just share with us briefly just the steps you took to get where you are today?
Yeah. Man, that's a wide, you may have to,
Maybe just like step one.
yeah. I mean, the thing that brought me out of St. Louis, you know, I made myself, I don't want to say I made myself. I think I just ended up being open to opportunities without, I don't know if I understood that's what I was doing, but there's so many ways an acting career can take form and look like. My acting teacher in St. Louis came back from Chicago, having seen a play at Steppenwolf. I don't know who's heard of Steppenwolf Theater, but it's an incredible theater company in Chicago. And she saw a show. I hadn't heard of it yet. She said, "Have you heard of Steppenwolf?" I said, "No." She said, "Oh, well, honey, you need to go. They have a summer intensive program and you should go apply and do that." And I just, okay. But I look at my older bios, and like from the get-go, like the first handful of plays, I'm like, Josh Bywater is going to move to LA and New York, not knowing what the hell that meant. I mean, I just knew that those were the places that you go. And she said Chicago, and I'm like, I guess, sure. So I drove up or flew up to Chicago and auditioned for their program and got waitlisted at first, since one person dropped out and I got bumped in. And
love that.
I did that for the summer for 10 weeks, and it was fantastic.
I love
That allowed me, there was someone there who said, "Hey, they said to their agent, who is one of the biggest agents in Chicago, you should look at this guy, Josh Bywater." And so then I just said, okay. And then I just kind of kept saying, okay, without asking a lot of questions, I think. And I signed with Stewart, and I'm still with them today, almost 20 years later. And persistence is such a big thing in this business. There were some dry periods. There were some periods of my life where I just needed to grow up. I made a lot of mistakes just on a personal level, and I just was kind of not really present with myself and the rest of the world and my career and a relationship. So I went through periods of just living life, but all the while still kind of maintaining at least one eye or one hand on acting in this craft. And once I got a little bit more comfortable with who I am and did some work on myself, really, I think it's really important. It's not mandatory, but it's my story, right? Things didn't really start taking off until some personal things got sorted through and sorted out. And then, you know, I found myself back at Steppenwolf doing a show. I had been in New York at that point, and then I came back to Chicago. I did a play at Steppenwolf, and my agent said, "You know, we're getting a lot of TV production in Chicago. If you're thinking of sticking around, maybe stick around for a month." And at that point, my life was kind of wide open. I lost my apartment. I had nowhere to live. So I just thought, well, it was so easy to move to Chicago. I didn't have to pack up anything. Everything was packed in storage in New York. So I moved back to Chicago and I just started auditioning and then started, a lot of the things, Kelsey, we were talking about my first reel before this started. And a lot of things on that reel were things that I booked right out the gate in Chicago.
Wow.
And I just I made myself go out to the community and mingle when I can and network when I can. And I'm terrible. I do not like networking. I'm good at it. Send me into a room. I can talk to people, but I will not do it on my own.
Oh my gosh. I'll help you. I'll help you with networking.
And I just kind of kept following. I left myself open to what could possibly be, really. And I just kept with it, and all the while taking classes along the way. If somebody said, hey, do this, I think I paid attention inadvertently. Now I'm more aware about that idea of paying attention, but at the time, I think I was really lucky. I really think I was really lucky. So
well, I think what I hear,
Karen's in St. Louis. Hey, Karen.
Oh, I know some people from Chicago. Yes. Okay. Well, what I'm hearing is you seized every opportunity. You said yes. Almost makes you think, like, if you had the opportunity to do a silly commercial or to be in a soap opera, I think you would have said yes to all of it, Josh. Why not? And I think it's no coincidence, Josh, that you had that journey of just discovering who you are. It makes me think of a word called mind renewal, and it's mindset. And it's something that I think it's mandatory for all actors. It comes to a point where you've got to check in with yourself and who am I and why am I doing this? And
quickly, I don't know if anyone needs to hear this, but I know that when I was, and even now, if I hear someone say, oh, I had to get in touch with who I really am, my mind can go off to, wait, who am I? What does that mean? Does that mean, am I really just, what does that mean? Doesn't really mean anything huge. For me, it's just being comfortable with who I am, period. And I find that's a thing that can hold actors and artists back so much, is just not being comfortable knowing that they're enough to fill a role or to walk into an audition room. I got all the stuff I need to bring to the table, and being comfortable standing on my own 2 feet and saying, this is who I am, this is what I have to offer, I think is no, I don't think it's a small task. I really don't. I really don't.
No.
So
knowing that I'm enough. Ooh. Yeah. Hashtag. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. I'm gonna throw that somewhere. Yeah. I love that, Josh. Okay. I think this is a great opportunity, Josh. I think that we should show your demos. I think maybe we could show your first one, share that with those. Okay. And I almost want to ask, after we watch this demo, maybe you can share with us some of those memorable moments.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then Josh shared with me his new demo, which I haven't seen. I would definitely want to share with the class, and then you can share with us some memorable moments, or moments just kind of that stick out to you, or maybe you see this character, it looked easy, but that was such a difficult role, or that may look hard, but that was really easy for me to do. I don't know. Whatever you want to share with us. So, okay, so let me share my screen. So this would be your one of your first demos, right? That's the original one that you had sent me. Right?
The one from IMDb. Yeah, I think that was it's one of my first ones.
Okay, let's watch it all. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Guess I'm not going to be famous. But I have something for you.
Two-way transmitter.
When we go in, you'll wear it.
So Gibson can be in my head.
I wouldn't know, ma'am.
Let me look in you. I want to see your eyes. You're one of them. Can I ask your real name?
Hawkins. I'm real sick. I know. I need the stuff. I don't have it. I can give you something to sleep. No. No sleep. I don't want to dream. Whiskey neat. Girl after my own heart. What do you do?
I'm a classical pianist. I'm on tour.
Never really understood classical music.
It's tiny vibrations that make you feel things. And if you're really listening, it can make you feel joy or pain.
So what do you want? I'm looking for Leonard Mills. Code. Lock digger in your sister's room. Go ahead. I'm Peter Mills. Leonard is my grandfather. What are you talking about? Henry Mills is my dad. You got the paperwork to prove that? No, not on me. Just give my information to Leonard. Tell him I came by. They're not worth your time, you know.
I'm sorry.
Chances.
There are no chances. The doctor said there's no chance. Gentleman Hawkins, you're under arrest.
I have no more orders.
Dal, you killed your father today.
Wanted me to go with him. Kept calling me son, said he was going to help.
You don't feel anything about that?
I don't feel anything about any of them. Until this wears off. Agent Dunn, I'd appreciate it if you put a bullet in my head. Let's go, bullet.
Awesome. That's such a good, I love that, Josh, really.
The
I
guy who
really
put
like
that, hats off to the guy who put that together, because he
Yeah.
did a whole story with it. And I think he did such a great job.
He
with
did
it.
such a great job, you know, range and we can see your face and the lighting and just the arrangement and so good. Okay, so watching that, I definitely have a question, but
Great.
share with us just some memorable moments, like when you look back at that demo. Share with us, yeah.
I mean, so the initial line, I guess I'm not going to be famous.
Yeah.
I said it wrong, first of all, the first like 5 takes, and then the producers were like, tell him it's, and I didn't say, it wasn't that off, but they're such sticklers. They're like, tell him he has to say it this way. I didn't really do anything with that. I wasn't thinking about that line all that much, which I think is another huge lesson. The less sometimes that an actor does, the better. Do the prep work, be confident in what you got going forward, and like just say the words. Sometimes.
Yes.
All
Okay,
the stuff with
fun
Gillian
fact.
Anderson was ridiculous. Which actually another important lesson I learned, or at least was present enough to realize and understand. Same thing, to realize. I heard leading up to that shoot that what my agent was like, we hear Jillian's kind of cold on set. And I'm like, okay, whatever. We show up in the first scene, we're going into a courtroom and we don't really have a scene together. It's just a bunch of people in a courtroom, and she peeled off to the right and I peel off to the left. And maybe we had met at that point. I don't know. But she just turned to me and she looked me right in the eyes and she goes, okay. And I just went, okay. And it was a little uncomfortable because it, like, just that very simple saying okay back and forth to a stranger can be a little, I mean, just opening up, availing yourself to the other person just a little bit. But I just, said, all right, I'll say okay back. And then I heard someone talk, the director's a guy named Eric LaSalle. He was on ER for a while. And I heard him the next day say to Jillian, really wonderful work yesterday, Jillian. And I thought, was it really wonderful work? It wasn't bad work, but like, she just wasn't doing a whole lot. So I'm like, was it wonderful work? Did they just have to say it to her because she's Jillian Anderson? Is it? And then I thought, no, it was wonderful work. Of course it was wonderful work. And then I thought, well, why not? Of course she's a human being. Why would she not want to hear that? And so I just turned to her and I said, hey, really wonderful work yesterday. And she kind of looked at me. She's like, thanks. You too. I think that caught her off guard because I think a lot of people either like tiptoe around her or actors chatting too much on set because they're excited to be there, understandably. But I for whatever reason, I was a human being with her. I wasn't trying to any angle. I just thought, well, maybe I'll do this. It like just fucking popped in my head. And then another time we were waiting for a shot to set up and I was standing next to her and I just said, I just turned to her, I said, so what's new? After we'd been working together for like a day and a half. And she just kind of laughed and she said, well, I just wrote a children's book, which I haven't told anybody. So like just these little things, these little moments of just paying attention to what's actually going on, just be a human being. Be someone like, there's no pressure to be anything else but just a human being. And when I did that, I was surprised by what I received in return. And I think she was surprised as well. And it was really nice. I mean, it made it that much more enjoyable.
I love that. That's one of the first things I'll teach about natural networking, Josh, is just, it's so simple, but just be a human being,
Be kind, be a human being and be kind. Yeah.
People like compliments. People like it when you honor them and you respect their boundaries and just all of that. So.
And there is this, and the thoughts that I had leading up to that were, as I said, does she need to hear that? She's Jillian Anderson. Does she need? It's like, well, why not? Why not say that to her?
Yeah, just be human. She's just another human.
She's not going to look at me, and if she does look at me and go, "You're a fucking asshole. Why would you say that to me?" Then that's on her.
Yeah,
she's that miserable, but she wasn't. It was a very nice exchange that we shared.
When in the scene where you are hugging, I guess, the young high schooler or college student, and you have that look of doom at the end, what was that look?
A mistake is what that was. I wrote that down too to comment on that. So that was, again, it's kind of a lesson in just let it all just strip away. The camera, I knew where the camera was, obviously it was on me, and I hugged her. And in a little background on that film, I had a smaller role in that film, and I was a teacher who was predatorial.
Okay.
And was predatorial towards her. And I'm hugging her because before the hug, the intention was to draw her in, right? So I'm not going to be a predator and be like, hey, so. And then I hugged her, and then I had the thought, oh, wait a minute, I can't look like I'm a nice guy or that I have good intentions at this point, right? Because I know and I just storytelling, right? So I just thought, what do I do? And I just stopped thinking. And that's basically what you saw. You saw me stop thinking and doing anything. And the writer directors, who are both friends of mine, they had the same comment. They were like, what did you do? And I'm like, it's just nothing. I just dropped it all, which resulted in dead-eyed, shark-eyed, So sorry, it wasn't necessarily like, but I guess it is a skill because it's just leave, sometimes I just got to leave myself alone.
Well, yeah, sometimes when we tend to overthink the roles, you know, a lot of times then it's Kelsey trying to force these things out. So you just kind of let Josh go and you let the character in. I think that look, it does tell us a story of some doom and dread, like kind of foreshadowing. You know, I definitely got the feeling like, oh, wait a minute, he's not a good guy. He's not a good guy.
Nope.
Okay, well, let's watch your new demo.
The new one is just I know you haven't watched it. I think it's like it's close to 5 minutes. So if that's too long, stop it whenever.
Okay, maybe, yeah, because I know that. Is that normal for demos to be that long, Josh?
Not necessarily,
5
no.
minutes?
I've heard varying things. I mean, like if you're sending demos out to casting directors and directors, you don't want to send a 5-minute demo.
No.
Doesn't make any sense. But if it's like part of a pitch package, like if you have a manager who's pitching you to agents to say, hey, do you want to represent this guy? It could be, I had a manager who did that, who cut together like a 4.5-minute reel. It can be useful in that sense, but it's not something that necessarily is good because they're going to watch about maybe 30 seconds of it.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll share some of it. Those clips of you, you're in Chicago Fire, right? A couple of those clips, right? How long were you on set those days?
Oh boy. Honestly, those were shorter. All the days I was on were shorter days. I think that was a co-star role, so it wasn't like a huge role on the page or on the schedule to begin with. I think maybe I think it was on 2 days, and I think maybe like 6 hours.
Oh,
which
not
is
bad.
really reasonable. No, not bad. But then there was another. I did a guest star on Chicago Med, and those days were
Very long.
Yeah.
Very long.
Yeah.
Okay, so Karen has a question, and this is actually a good time to ask this, Karen. And then if anyone has any other questions, I'll make sure to give Josh plenty of time so you guys can ask him all the questions. But she's kind of asking, is there a difference between a demo and an acting reel? And I mean, I was gonna say no. It's the same thing, Karen. You'll hear someone say demo, acting reel, demo reel. It's just,
I think it's right.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's watch a little bit of your new one. Maybe we won't watch all 5 minutes, but maybe I'll share the link to those demos with this recording to the video so we can watch it. But because I want to watch some of it, so you guys can watch with me. I haven't seen this one. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay.
That's extortion.
Ooh, flag on the play, Hunters. Give it 10 or 15 in there. I know.
Hey, Coop.
Yeah, what up?
Oh, it's nothing. Do you want to hear something really amazing?
Yeah.
It was just, Trisha was going to tell you that we got some cedar closets for you, and she knows how much you love cedar.
Oh my God, I love my cedar. Thanks, Trisha.
See you at home, baby.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
Hey, Sam.
Listen, don't go. Hey, Coop. How you doing? Didn't see you in there.
Yeah, I go to that church. Just my stepson.
Yeah. Fuck, man, how you doing?
Hanging in there.
Yeah. So crazy. I still can't believe that about Rick and Charity, right? Oh shit, I gotta go. I'll see you soon.
Hey, heartbreaker of a loss, coach. We'll do it next week. I'd like to print.
Ooh, okay, so I want to stop sharing. I want to talk about those clips. That was from the HBO Max movie, Somebody Somewhere, correct? Oh, wait, Josh, you're unmuted.
TV series, yeah.
A TV series. Okay, so how was that? You know, HBO Max, that seems like such a larger production. bigger studios versus the, Chicago Fire. So can you talk to us about, because that seems like definitely a move in the right direction for your career. So talk to us about that experience.
I mean, the experience on set was even, it felt, the feel of it felt much like an indie movie.
Yeah.
It was very much, it was a lot smaller in scale, is what it felt like, in a gorgeous way. The people behind that are the Duplass brothers, whoever's Jay and Mark Duplass,
Mhm.
and they really, along with some of their horror movies that they produce and write and direct and star in, all of their other things are so filled with heart, and that permeated throughout the entire cast, throughout the entire production crew, the storytelling. And it was one of the most special experiences I've had yet on set. There wasn't an asshole in the bunch. There wasn't a diva in the bunch, from number one on the call sheet down. Like, everyone was just wonderful human beings. Like, I felt like the biggest asshole on set, and I do not think I'm an asshole, but like, everyone else was so kind. It was an incredible experience.
Wow. So it really sets the bar, huh?
The only thing that made it feel big was a woman named Carolyn Strauss, who is one of the big producers at HBO, who worked on Game of Thrones. And
Wow.
she has a very I mean, she didn't engage with the cast all that much from what I could see. So like, just her being there, knowing that she's with Game of Thrones, that's the only thing that made me ever go, oh, man, she's with Game of Thrones. But she was very sweet and very delightful as well. So, I mean, I can't say enough good things about everybody on set.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then the next clip was from the series Utopia, and your experience on that show. And can you talk to us, like, how did that opportunity come about, Josh? Like, was this your agent from Chicago that gave you this audition? And so what was that like? Was this a self-tape admission?
This was kind of, I mean, this business is so much about relationships. And there's a casting office in Chicago. The ladies who are part of it, the casting directors there, Mickey Pascal, Jennifer Rudnicki, and AJ Lynx, are some of the most dear people that I've ever met. And when I go back to Chicago to visit, I make it a point to stop, or at least I did pre-pandemic, because they're not really in the office anymore. But I'd make it a point to drop by and say hello. And I dropped by to say hello, and I'm hanging out, and they said, "Oh, we got Josh, do you want to play this role where blah 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 and you get shot in the head?" Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. And I was like, yeah, audition for that. So that's one that I got myself, because I just had a pre-existing position
Talk to us. Okay, so you knew this casting director, you worked with them. And
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you were just in town.
Yep.
And you just made a point to say hello, just to
Stop
drop
by,
in.
say hello. Yep.
And just you being a human.
Yep.
Just dropping in.
I didn't do that with every casting office there, because I didn't have quite that relationship.
But
I have relationships with all those offices. Just these ladies in particular, I consider friends. So like,
wow.
I mean, I wouldn't suggest going to any casting office and knocking on the
No,
door and saying,
but-
"Hey, I'm here to say hi." Like, we don't know you that well.
Yeah, but you had said that establishing a relationship,
Yeah.
any good relationship takes time and communication. So you clearly have created that relationship over time and communication. And so then you got offered the chance to audition. And was it a self-tape?
No, this was at the time. This was while I was in town. I auditioned while I was there. A couple days later, or maybe the next day, I don't know which one, maybe a couple days later. And so I did that in the casting office, and booked it, and then went back to LA, and then at some point came back to Chicago to shoot it. And it all went through my agent, but I mean, I got myself the part, really, or the casting office did,
I love that, Josh. Like such a wide range, that was one thing that really drew me to you, just your experience. What really, what have you learned from working with these different networks and working on these bigger productions, smaller productions, maybe what someone mentioned, individuals who are a little bit more selfless, maybe other individuals who you can tell are just here to do the job. Like, what would you say you've learned from your experience, your career in this, with your wide range of TV credits? Like the most important thing you've learned.
I think I'm going to steal something that a friend of mine said, same guy who said he's not good at doing anything else.
Oh, okay. I like that. Okay.
He's one of the best improvisers in the world, I'd say. He's got his own show with TJ. It's called TJ and Dave. They don't really perform anymore, but when they do, rush out to see it. You can buy them on Vimeo. You can buy, they have 8 shows. They recorded 8 shows and they put them on Vimeo. So you can buy it for like $30. Totally worth it. This guy was being interviewed after one of his shows by another Chicago actor, and the guy interviewing them said, "What, when you're doing a show, what are the most important things to keep in mind?" And he said 3 things. The other person's pay attention.
Okay.
The other person is most important,
Yes.
and go towards the fear. To
Good.
which go towards the fear. And so in the end, the guy facilitating the interview then said, "And do you find that those things apply to life as well?" And without missing a beat, this guy said, "Oh, absolutely. Absolutely." So I think the biggest takeaway from all of this, I mean, look, I think it's taught me how to be a better human in some ways. Just in what paying attention, I mean, art imitates life, right? And if I feel like if any of us are doing this correctly and for the right reasons, things will start to kind of bleed together. And keeping in mind, I'll keep with regards to this career, paying attention to from the audition to being on set, right? Walking into a room, saying hello to people, looking people in the eyes. "Nice to be here. Thank you for having me." Not getting too chatty, but again, being a human being, just being myself in the room.
Mm-hmm.
The reader sitting there, which is kind of non-existent anymore since, everything's self-tape now. But
Mm-hmm.
if anyone, if any of you do get a chance to walk into an audition room, it can be an exhilarating experience if you haven't already had the experience. But just even going to the reader, the person I'll be reading with, who's reading the other lines with me when I'm auditioning. "Hi, what's your name?" And meet them. "Nice to meet you." And like, how can I be of service to that person? How can I be of service to everyone in the room? Because at the very least, if I'm acting from that place, operating from that place, it gets me out of here. And it's only going to free me up to do better work and to help them solve their problem of, we need to cast this role. We don't know what we're looking for. We need someone to show us what we're looking for. Right.
Yes.
And it just makes the whole experience so much more enjoyable and so much more just easier.
Right. Seems like the pressure's off of you too. That's what I'm sensing. Like when that's something I teach my students, it is about the other person. It's all about the other person. Why am I here? Why am I having this conversation with them?
It's so easy and natural to walk into an audition and be like, "Okay, what do I got to do? What do I have to do? I got to focus on my lines. I got to
do this.
But if I've done all the work, as much work as I need to, and sometimes the work won't, and I'll make a mistake, or I'll go up on a line. I'm like, "Hey, can I start over?" "Great, thanks."
Okay.
I'm still a human being,
Yeah.
But then to walk in that room and it goes to the same as being on set. I think a very important thing is to, no matter who I meet, I make it a point to say, "Hi, I'm Josh. What's your name?" Chances are I'm not going to remember most of the names by the end of the day because there's so many people on set. But just that act of being like, "Hey, I'm a human. You're a human. Hey, what do you? Great. You're a grip. Awesome actor. Yeah, I'll see you."
You got dreams too. You overcame obstacles to get here too, just like me.
Yeah.
Man, I love this. I'm writing down some good stuff you're saying, Josh. Definitely, like just your process. I love this knowing that I'm enough. I think that you create that essence when you walk in, Josh. I love this idea of paying attention, because that's just covers so much, whether it's the details and on your audition itself, right? Noticing just the details on how they want the self-tape to be set up, paying attention to names, times, listening, details. Yeah, thank you.
Details is a very important thing,
Mhm.
because actors can be notorious for, and I've done it too. We're still human.
Yeah, well, we
know.
miss them. And, I'll tell my students, that's where we live. Actors, we live in those details.
Yep.
So pay attention. Don't throw anything away. There's always something there, always a new discovery to make. So paying attention. What do you mean by going towards the fear? Talk to me about that. What do you mean?
I feel like that's a little bit, the other person being most important, paying attention, that's a little more tangible, I think,
Yes.
right?
Uh-huh.
Going towards the fear is still an element that I find a little elusive in terms of what is that supposed to mean in any given moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it can mean,
Oh, wait.
what do I think it can mean, like
I'm getting there.
going towards the fear.
Like you gotta do what you're afraid of. If you're afraid of it, then it's
Yeah,
probably
and I
worth
might
something.
not know exactly all the little things I'm afraid of in a scene, but if a scene requires, like, well, here, this might be an example.
Oh.
When I was on Crisis, the TV series with Gillian Anderson, I was one scene. I was in a bed. I was in a hospital bed, and some people come to interview me because I'm a soldier who was programmed to kill some people, and then once this programming wears off, I remember everything, kind of like the Winter Soldier from the Marvel movies. I remember everything, and I feel horrible shame and guilt. And in that scene, I'm talking about how I've killed a bunch of fellow Army Ranger buddies, and like that's part of, in real life, part of the Ranger code is those are your brothers. You protect them to death, right? And I knew that that was going to be a tough thing for this character to say. And when the coverage came to me, I'm laying in the bed and I'm like, oh, I got to piss now. I'm like, well, I can't ask to go to the bathroom because I'm already here and they got the IV in and all this, and I can't do that. And then I thought, well, yes, you can, dude. Take care of yourself, have agency for yourself and I turned to the DP. I'm like, hey, can I go to the bathroom? And his response is, oh yeah, mate. Yeah, go. Of course. Like and I was afraid to ask for something for myself. So go towards that fear. Or if I'm working with another actor and there's something that's really intimate, and maybe I don't feel comfortable showing an emotional response to something, which I think is something that we all have to work through to an extent. Because if we all walked around life all the time, letting things hit us that hard, which is kind of what I end up doing inadvertently, just as an artist through life. That fear of being with another human being on set and being open to that human being and to see what happens. Don't have it programmed. What am I going to do when this person says this to me? I don't know what I'm going to do. And if I can open myself up to, okay, let's see what happens when you say these lines we've already rehearsed and memorized, and then being open to whatever that response is going to be. Does that make sense?
Yes. It makes perfect sense.
I think that's how I understand it.
Mm-hmm. And, when the individual asks, can you apply these 3 things to just life in general? And because that's where my mind went at first, like going after, sometimes the thing that you're most afraid of is the exact thing you're supposed to be doing. But yes, but also on set, the fear of, working, opposite, just big name actor. Sometimes that's a fear, but you leaned in towards that.
Intimidating. Yeah, it can be intimidating, but just what am I going to do about it? Hey, I'm Josh. You're okay, great. And then just pay attention to what they're doing. Follow their lead. I'm not the guy who's supposed to come up on set working with Gillian Anderson saying, this is how this is going to go. Gillian, come over here. Like, no, just, this is my role. This is my lane. I'll stay in it.
Mm-hmm. Be kind. Yeah. Okay, well, let's see. I think two more things I want to talk about, and then we'll open up to Q&A. Okay, so being on set, Josh, I am sure you've experienced where last minute line changes. Have you ever experienced that?
Yes.
Or no? Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips or tricks on, reading like cold copy or reading script, in front of casting directors, or if lines were changed, last minute? Like, do you have any tips or tricks for us?
Last minute line changes, in my experience, which is limited to an extent, because I know like it can be very different for series regulars on TV shows. Big chunks of dialogue can be rewritten in the moment, and I haven't experienced it yet because I haven't been a series regular on a
Okay.
TV series, or like a soap opera, get dialogue day of. So I can't speak to that.
Okay.
Usually the line changes I'll experience are like they'll just cut lines, or it'll be, hey, change it to this thing, which is relatively easy. It's like one line. I'm already in the mode of like what the scene entails, and it's fairly simple for me. Getting I actually love doing cold reads.
I know. Why? Tell us why.
Because
wow.
it gives me less time to think and prepare. And if
Mm.
I'm given permission to have, like, this is an audition I'm working on right now. If I have permission to have my sides right here, and the casting directors know, and the producers and director know that I haven't come in prepared with something, such a pressure reliever. Like, because they know that I have this here, and then if they fault me for reading lines, it's like, you did this. Like, what do you expect me to do? So I love reading things on the fly. I know that it's not something that everyone feels comfortable with. I really feel comfortable with it. And I'm not always good at saying I'm good at certain things, but I think I am really good at getting copy and just reading it and attaching an intention to it and just living with it in a real way with the other actors.
Mhm. So would you say, Josh, that you can tend to be an overthinker sometimes? Okay. So that's because I'm like, okay, so why do you love cold read so much? And I think because it's such freedom. That has to just be such freedom for you, because you can't overthink.
Right.
No, that's so, I love that. There
I mean, there are some tricks, like, I mean, something I
freedom.
learned very early on, like if you're, if I have copy and I don't, I mean, if we were doing an audition right now, don't hold it down like this.
Yeah.
So every time I look down, so if I got to refer to it, just off to the side, which, seems like a no-brainer, but for whatever reason, that really stuck with me to like keep it so
Lift it up.
your eyes don't have as far to travel when you're referring back to it.
Okay.
And then also, I mean, I give myself permission to paraphrase in those moments as well. Like they've given me the copy to read from. So like, if I don't get a line right, I don't care, because it's like, they just gave this to me. And if they want to stop and say, hey, when you go back, can you make sure you say this line, how it's written? Then I can say, yeah, great. And I'll just pay attention to that the next read. Does that answer your question?
Oh yeah. I'm just listening now. Everyone approaches cold copy, and I just love that, just actors who are listening, with cold copy, we can just kind of take the pressure off. Just the freedom to not overthink. And really, it reminds me of the old school definition of acting. Acting's all about doing, and it just kind of gives us the opportunity to just do it.
And
But
also, not for nothing, but like trusting the process of like, if a casting director sees like, oh, great, you read this. If it's a situation of like, I've walked in and I've auditioned for one role, but then the casting director says, actually, can you read this other role? Trust that I'm already in the pocket, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we see you reading this role. We think you'd be good. Go. Like, oh, great. So I don't even have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about showing them, oh, now I got to show them what Joe the park ranger's like.
Mm-hmm.
Because they already see something in me that looks like Joe the park ranger. So all I got to do is show up like, okay, what are these lines? Great. What are they saying to me? Great. Let's go.
Yeah. Well,
You
that's
know?
what you said, Josh. You said knowing that I am enough, right? That you have everything you need.
Yep.
There's no time to prepare. You have to trust that I have what I have. I mean, I'm enough, right? Knowing that I'm enough, paying attention, with cold copy, just looking for the details. Okay, what's the gist? Who am I speaking to? Making it about the other person. And then maybe leaning in towards the fear. Maybe if we are afraid of the cold copy reading, we'll just lean into that.
Right.
The best way to overcome anything is just to do it.
Right.
And
worst comes to worst, like that leaning into towards the fear. I know it can be intimidating because I've done it. Walking into a room with a bunch of people and looking someone in the eye, a director, a producer, and be like, "Hey, I'm Josh." It can be very scary, I think, to look someone in the eyes and take them in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if there's ever a moment when maybe I look someone in the eyes and take them in and I'm really nervous and they see that. This has actually happened before. Great. Like, Josh, just go ahead and relax. It's okay. I mean, I've been on the other side of the table when actors have come in like really tightly wound up and the casting directors have said, "You're okay. Just take a couple breaths." Like, we all get it. It's nerve-wracking. It's an archaic process. Walk into the room, stand in front of us, deliver some lines, maybe get emotional, maybe not. Open your soul to us. Oh, okay. That's easy enough. Like, anybody who's worth their salt, who's on the other side of the table, will understand that and know that. And if they see that in any of us, hopefully they will be able to say, "Hey, you're okay. Take your time. Take a breath. We're not going to bite,"
I love that.
Yeah.
Very encouraging, Josh. You just seem so, you're really just flowing with life, Josh. Maybe at times it doesn't feel like that, and I know you're like, what?
Right.
I love this, just observing you, you definitely tend to, like you said, overthink, but there's just this beauty that's growing. You're giving yourself permission to trust yourself and to trust that this is exactly where you are meant to be, where you belong. You're doing what you're supposed to do, Josh. I love it. I find this very encouraging. I hope you guys are finding it encouraging as well. It's not like he's like telling us, okay, you have to do 20 hours of this, 10 this. It's just like, wow.
That's way too intimidating. I mean,
No,
there's
I
a guy I
know.
know who used to say, like, what's the thing? In order to become an expert in anything, you have to do it for 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that shit.
No,
Like,
I don't want to hear
I
that.
think it's good for, hey, always work at your craft. I think that's very important. Now, that can look like a million different things. That can look like going to a museum, in my opinion. That can be going to a museum and exposing yourself to other forms of art. It can be reading a play. It can be taking a class. It can take any form. It can be going to therapy, I think. Really,
Yes.
I'm just kind of realizing this in the moment. Like, I really think it can be all of those things.
It can be. It's important.
Because
yeah.
we just have ourselves that we bring to this process. So like any little bit, pardon the language, even though I know I've said it before, but every little bit fucking helps. It really does.
No, you've done really well. When I first met him, guys, he was dropping F-bombs. I was like, whoa, okay. I mean, he's done really well. You've done really well, Josh. Okay, well, let's open it for Q&A. And if it's okay, there's some questions in the chat. I know Zachary had a question, and I think Mia. Would it be okay if I, like Zachary, would you like to ask your question in real time, or I can ask it for you? Would it be okay if I pulled you on up and?
Yes.
Let's bring Zachary to the front. Zachary, hi, thanks for being here. So
hey,
go ahead.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So you had a question about networking. So go ahead and ask.
Yes. So my question is, when it comes to networking, because I'm an introvert myself, even though I love acting and performing, I hate going out. So, but most of my networking has been involved with what I do on set. How important is networking on set versus like going out and like going to like film or networking events for a film? Because while I'm on set, I'm gold. Like I'm there, I'm focused. Like these are people that I'm obviously already have to be in front of. But the going out to like random and
meeting people that way, it seems just, it's not that it's too much, but it's a lot.
It's intimidating, I think, right?
Yeah.
Is that fair to, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I have the exact same experience. And there have been times that I've forced myself to like, oh, I know there's an event, I should go to this, so I'll do that. I don't do it every single time that I can. Every single time that opportunity is available to me, I don't do it. Which I got a lot of thoughts about that are kind of hitting me. One being like, I'll get out of any type of networking, whatever I put into it, I'll receive, right? I wish there was a part of me that went at it full force all the time. Gotta go, gotta do this, going to this party, going to that thing, but that's not who I am, right?
Yeah.
My experience is just going to be what my experience is. And I mean, I honestly think I don't relate to the people who do that all the time, who will go up and network and show up and be like, hey, who are you? And here's my card and blah, blah, blah. It's just not who I am. So what I try to do, and this really just comes with age, I think, and being just going easy on myself. I do what I can. Sometimes I'll go to a festival. I went to a festival of a film that I was in the other day, and I wasn't feeling good that day inside, I was having a rough mental day. And luckily we were supposed to be masked. So I had a hat on, I put a mask on, and I knew people. I saw people walking. I'm like, oh, I know that person, but I'm like, I don't have it in me today. So I'm going to be here and support. And I texted people afterwards, and I just left, and I gave myself permission to do that. Personally, I think it's so much more important. Congratulations on all the work, right? If you're there and on set, I think, again, you can build those relationships while being on set. I think that's so important, because that's the thing that's gonna, even if it's just good karma, right? Putting those good vibes out into the universe. People on that set maybe you won't cross paths with them again, but they're gonna remember you, and it's just gonna open more doors. Maybe not, maybe it'll be indirect, right? So I don't know, my advice would just be, do what you can. Other acting schools will probably tell you to go out and do it more often and make sure you're out there. But for my money, just do what you can and go easy on yourself. And also push yourself sometimes, right? There have been times when I've said, no, I'm going to go out and do this. And I've been rewarded. There's always going to be something to learn from going out and to an event, regardless of what that event, there's always going to be something to learn. But if you don't feel like doing it one night, don't do it. Does that make sense? Did that answer your question?
No, it did. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, and also, I got to point this out.
Well, from Instagram?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Isn't
like,
that good?
What? Yeah, I love this.
Did you get it because
Hard.
I
already had it.
It's so my now ex-girlfriend got it for me, and I was like, this is the best Christmas present ever. Yeah. Rush out and get this. It's amazing. It's so good.
What is it? I'm sorry, I don't know, guys. I'm sorry.
It's from the movie Die Hard. Which
they say Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and someone made a Die Hard Christmas book.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's great. It's so good.
I love it.
Well, thanks, Zachary. That's a really great question. I think what you said is networking. Yes, networking is important, but be true to yourself. If you're like going to an event and you don't want to be there, I mean, no one's having fun, but if you're on set, seizing those opportunities, get to know people. I always tell my students that's a way for natural networking, maybe make a list of who's there, who you personally connected with. Maybe see if you can follow them on social media, and don't be weird about it, be a human. Right. Maybe if you know of upcoming projects, you could just congratulate them on it. Just be natural. And I tell my students kind of create even a spreadsheet where you can say, okay, so this person, I touched base with them last month. Okay, let me see how I can touch base. Maybe I could just like a post. Maybe I could, I don't know, especially if it's like a networking or a casting director or producer that you really want to work with. It's kind of what Josh said. You're going to get what you put into it. So networking is important, but be true to yourself, don't.
It's also so like there's a director I worked with on Crisis that I absolutely adored, and I haven't followed up with her. But there have been times that I have followed up with people and like it's gone absolutely nowhere.
That's okay.
So again, like I can show up, I can be a human, pay attention, be kind, do my job, just be normal,
Yeah,
and things will come back or things won't, which
that's
is
okay.
like life,
Yeah, sometimes you gotta send 10 ships out. What's that to get like one back? So that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks you, Zachary. Did you have any other questions?
Yes.
Oh,
So
I thought you did. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, sorry. So and I'll be quick. When it comes to expanding, do you find that traveling or like when you moved to LA, did that expand your work more? Or because I still live in St. Louis, but I commute everywhere, Chicago, Iowa, Atlanta, and Nashville, Tennessee. So I'm trying to get past this like commercial phase that I'm in. Because I'm booking a lot of that. And I keep getting close on TV show type stuff. Like I've been on Chicago Fire, but I'm
Right.
trying to get like, I want more of that realm. What did you do to break outside of the St. Louis Midwest like market? Was it just moving or did you do more before that?
I mean, when I was in Chicago, I worked a lot in so I moved out to LA in 2017. I'm a bit older than the youngins who come out here in their early 20s. So it's been, and I was with a manager who was not good for way too long. I got stuck in that relationship, and I just acquired a new manager a few months ago, and it's night and day. He's getting me all kinds of auditions. So yeah, I moved out to LA because I wanted more access to bigger roles, because Chicago, we get the smaller roles passed down to us, sometimes a guest role, but I wanted the bigger ones, man. I would like kind of what you're talking about. I wanted to be a series regular on a show. I want to be a lead in an indie film or something like that. So I think it is important to go out to one of those hubs, Chicago, LA, New York, to make those relationships happen. Because if I just stayed in Chicago, I'd still be auditioning for a lot of those Chicago shows. And now I'm auditioning for shows that shoot in Atlanta, shows that shoot here. I'm getting those types of opportunities. So I think it's whatever city you want to be in is absolutely wonderful. For me, I just wanted the things that I think that you're talking about. So I came out here, and it's tough, it's really tough, but because of relationships that I have, some personal, that led to the new manager I have. So you just never know what's gonna transpire.
Thank you. I got a million more questions, but I don't want to take like everybody else.
I mean, yeah, and I'm happy to answer any of those. Like, if there's a way to like connect, I'm happy to do that on some other time.
I just started following you too, so.
Okay,
I
cool.
was gonna say I could drop your Instagram. You guys could reach out to him and ask him those questions. Well, thank you, Zachary.
And I've started following you too, Kelsey.
Oh, awesome. That's right, guys. Follow me at Reflect the Dream. Thanks, Zachary. Okay, so next I know Miss Mia. I'm gonna bring Mia up. So I know you had some amazing questions. Go ahead, Miss Mia, with your questions.
Hi, Josh. Hi, Kelsey. Thank you for having me. One of my first questions is, what skill did acting force you to develop that you did not possess prior to, and how has it served you best?
I think I'm gonna have to go back to the paying attention to the world around me. I don't know if that's the type of skill you're talking about or asking about, but is that what, or do you mean just any type of skill, whether it's life or acting or?
Yeah. Like, flexibility is the skill that, for me, acting is really forcing me to develop. I wouldn't say I was a flexible person prior to. And so just the craft of acting and even the business is really developing that skill to be flexible in my time, in my body, in my decision making.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's gonna paying attention and also honestly just being okay with who I am. Period. That's the only way I think any of us work, unless we are ridiculously talented and out of our minds crazy, bananas, certifiable, alcoholic, rage people, but we're just so good that Hollywood just has to work with us, which I don't condone any of that. But I mean, that happens, you know. Being comfortable with myself and having agency in my own life in every capacity, I think is the thing that this the career I've had so far has opened up inside of me. Now, granted, personal stuff allowed me to do that as well, but again, you know, it all starts blending together, and that ability to just be able to talk to anybody. I was a pretty shy kid, but you know, you go to set and meet a million different types of people from all over the world, all over the country, and like different, like, and it forces you to have empathy or to just talk with someone like a human being, like, hey, how are you? Oh, great. Oh, where are you from? Oh, you have kids? Great. What are their names? Awesome. Just very simple, you know. I think that's probably the biggest thing for me, you know.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Kelsey, would I be able to ask a second question?
Yes, I want you to ask that question. I think we all want to know the answer. So ask away, Miss Mia.
I wanted to know, what is your audition process?
Yeah, tell us the secret, Josh, to your preparation.
I mean,
and how you get into character. Tell us.
I mean, I think it depends on the role. It depends on the show. It depends on if it's in person or if it's a self-tape. If it's, I'm trusting more now, especially the auditions that come through, like this one that I'm preparing now. He is a news reporter. It says I think the breakdown is he's out of shape. I'll say that. He's a very out of shape. I am not an out of shape person. And it's like, well, but I'm getting called in for it. So what am I going to do? Play like, oh, I'm out of shape? No, I'm going to show up like how I normally am. And I know what angle the reporter is going in. So I'm just going to do that and use myself and be comfortable with what I'm doing. So what I do, I try to get as familiar with the lines as possible, memorizing them, especially for self-tapes now. They can't tell that I have this in my hand. So I try to get as memorized as possible. I have a self-tape setup that I enjoy, that I think looks really good, and that I know I will look good in. So I don't have to worry about that, because I feel like I wear something that I feel good in, unless it's like super specific and it demands a certain costume. I want to feel good. If I can take care of all the aesthetics, boom, great. So I don't have to think about any of that. I can just think about what I'm doing there in that moment in the scene. If it's something that's the thing I did on Crisis, he's an Army Ranger. I don't know what it's like to be an Army Ranger. So I did a little bit more prep after I booked the role, but I looked up what it's like to be an Army Ranger. Like, what's the creed? There's an Army Ranger creed. I looked up interviews, things like that. But also I just try to breathe and let myself alone. It was more applicable to in-person auditions, but like, if I need to take space in the audition room before I go into the audition room, I don't need to chat with everybody, especially the chatty actor who's just talking a mile a minute or bragging about themselves. separate myself from that. If I need to take time because it's maybe in an emotional place that I need to be in, giving myself that space and that time to go in and own what I need to own in order to show them what I have to bring to the table, right? I mean, man, I wish there was more of a science to it, but actually, this is, I think, really important. Getting the copy, right? And then reading everything on the page, to not miss a beat, to not burn a bridge, right? Make sure you cross every bridge that's on that, every little thing. And it's really easy for, I think, any actor to just skip over every single little detail, but it's all about the details. You can never get specific enough because we're not perfect. So there's always room to be more specific. What's the other character saying to me? What do I think about that? Right. Not just memorizing my lines. Like, oh, this person says this to me. Okay, what's my opinion on that? Right. So always reacting to what that person is saying to me, what that character is saying to me. Is it night? Is it day? How busy is the place that I'm in? Can people hear me? Do I want people to not hear me? Am I going to talk more quietly? Am I a gregarious asshole who wants to be heard by everybody? So I'm going to talk real loud. And I don't give a shit who hears me. You know what I mean? So who's really paying attention to what the script is telling me, because all the information I need is going to be in there for the purpose of the audition, right? Sometimes there may be an accent involved. If that's true, each audition requires something different, I think, really. But more often than not now, the auditions that come through for me are on a scale that it just really requires me showing up and bringing who I am to the table. And letting the rest do the rest of the work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I love that note about you can't get specific enough.
Yeah.
Like read everything that's on that copy. I love that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And you might miss something too. So go easy on yourself if you don't get specific enough. I mean, I'm real good at kicking myself. So if I'm working with somebody on a self-tape and they say, hey, think about this, go, all right, good note. I didn't think about that. How did I not see that? I don't know. I'm just human, right? So I find good people that I trust to work on these auditions with as well. Right. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Nia. Okay, so there was one question in the chat, Josh, and it's definitely a popular question, and I'm just curious how you would answer this. Some of the people in the chat are talking about how their first experience with the agent didn't go well. Someone's like, I need an agent. How do you get an agent? If I was an aspiring actor and I just come up to you and I'm like, Josh, okay, it sounds like I need an agent. How do I get an agent? How do I get one?
However you can. There's so many different ways. I mean,
what do I need? What do I need to book an agent? What's going to set me apart? How long is it going to take? Is it really hard?
It can be. I mean, I think I think it depends on the market. Are we talking about St. Louis, Chicago, New York, LA?
Yeah.
Persistence and patience is one of the things.
Okay.
When I was starting out in various cities, I would look at, and I don't know if it's a thing anymore, but like Backstage always listed auditions, playbill.com listed auditions. I attacked plays pretty hard from the get-go. I don't know why. I think maybe at the time, that's just the auditions that I don't know. How did I do that? How did that happen? I think my first acting coach was like, we worked on scenes from plays.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important to have that experience, because I think that's where I heard Dustin Hoffman said that to Jake Gyllenhaal once, way back when they worked on Moonlight Mile. He told Jake Gyllenhaal, he goes, go do theater. Be an actor, go do theater. And I've seen Gyllenhaal on stage. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
makes me kind of not like him even more. I'm like, well, you can do everything. Great.
And then I
He's wonderful.
Sorry.
Working with, so looking up auditions, find auditions and find, not every gig is going to be great, but like just start. There are places that are accessible to us as actors to find work. There's a lot of students who do student film work, and some of them are not great and some of them are great. So get involved with student films, and then get stuff that you can put on a reel. If you put a reel together, personally, I think it's important to make those things look as good as possible.
Yes.
There are some reels that just look like they just put a camera up and then they just, like make it look super polished. You can get great credits from doing student films.
Yes.
They may not pay, unfortunately, at first, which really is unfortunate, because I really believe that all actors should be paid for our time. And I think there's so often we are not,
So, right.
But starting out is still starting out, so accruing that footage for a good reel that you can then submit to an agent, asking friends for, hey, can you give me a referral to your agent?
Yes.
Hard thing to do, really hard. It
One.
can be an uncomfortable thing to do,
Oh,
but
yeah, that's so good.
especially moving to LA, I asked some people that I knew, I'm like, hey, do you mind? And their responses were always
Why not?
some form of course, because
Yeah.
you have to in LA, or else you're just going to be, you have to. It's
Yeah, I was gonna
too big.
say,
LA's
how
too
do
big.
you, that's so smart, and I kind of love what you were kind of touching on almost, Josh, like what I coach of, what to do in the waiting. If you're waiting on, representation, what can I do in the waiting? Okay, well, there's opportunities all around us, right? There's always a local theater. There's classes you can take. I mean,
And if you make friends in a class, call those people up, say, hey, y'all want to get together and just read a play? We can open a bottle of wine, have some food. We've done that out here. There's a group of people who we've kind of done our own class, which is an offshoot from a class that we all paid for at one point. And then we get together, and sometimes we do a reading of a screenplay that somebody writes, or we practice auditioning. There's no excuse to not. There's always something that can be done.
Always, yes. And even those actors who maybe don't have footage for a demo, well, you can create your own. I've seen a lot of demos recently where it's just, the individual maybe like in their home studio set up, and they're reading a scene with the reader, outside the camera. There's an audition with them reading a monologue. They're kind of creating their own footage for their demo. And I just love that, just what to do in the waiting.
Ingrid just said standardized patience job.
Oh yeah,
I did that in Chicago.
Did you really? That was a class I taught, or like the survival jobs, and that was a new thing I had discovered. I was like, that I would have loved to have done that in college. That's so cool.
Great. Yeah.
So you actually did it. Okay, I don't know if he actually did it. So that's cool. Okay. Well, if there aren't any other questions, I think. Wait, anyone have any more questions? You can kind of raise your hand or unmute yourself. If not, I think I would love for you to maybe leave us with, Karen. Where are you at, Karen? Okay. Josh, is that okay to do one more question?
I'm free. We can do this however long you want to.
Okay. Okay, Karen. What is your, go ahead and unmute yourself. And what's your question? If you're there. Oh, is she typing it in the chat? No. Let me ask her to unmute. And if you can always type in. I can ask it for you. And did you ask it already? I need some ideas how to make my video auditions better. Ooh, hang on to that thought about self-taping. That's going to be another future masterclass. I don't know if you have any maybe that was her question, just some suggestions on how to make her self-tapes better. But you kind of touched on that already, Josh, when you said I love what you said. You have the confidence of your home studio. That is so smart. I encourage all my students, you need to be comfortable and familiar in your space, right? I need to know that I look good. That camera loves me, right? I know everything's flawless. I feel comfortable and confident. But if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, I mean, like I can just tell you my self-tape setup. I have a ring light that I bought from Amazon. It's I think you say Neewer. I think it's Neewer. I think it was like $80, 80 to $100.
Nice.
And it's invaluable.
Well,
I have that. And then I also bought a backdrop, the same brand, just a gray. I like gray. You can choose whatever color. I like gray a lot.
yeah. Okay.
And it's got one end it's looped at one end. So I bought a wooden pole from Lowe's that you can go, and they have like wooden poles and you can cut it down to size. So I put that through it so I can just roll the thing up. And right now, the place where I live, a friend of mine used to live here, and she had a self-tape thing set up in the dining room, and it's like two like brass piping things, and it's a sheet of paper that she has rolled up on, and she just pulls it down. So I just put my version of that on top of that, and I just pull it down when I need to. And that's it. I just have that light, that backdrop, and then I just go.
And do you use your phone?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I use my phone. Use my phone, and then there's no. I'll do my reader will be. I do FaceTimes. If I don't have somebody here with me, I'll just FaceTime a buddy, and we just do the scene. Sometimes I don't look at them, and I'm looking at like a spot in the room, but you'll find that you do that on set. I mean, it kind of sucks, but you learn how to get around it, and it does the trick,
I love that. Yeah. But you had talked about that, just the confidence, and I wanted to just piggyback on that because that's so key.
Yeah.
Have confidence in your setting.
Right.
And I tell my students to practice, rehearsing your scene in that setting. Set it all up and then rehearse it. Practice it.
Yeah, running lines, and then like I've started to really enjoy the self-tape process. How does it look, and then even like telling the story, right? Like this a job that I just got pinned for. I almost booked it, but I didn't. They went with somebody else. The first scene. There's a lot more activity going on and interaction with other people. So like the frame was more like this, maybe more like this. And so then the buddy of mine I was taping with said for the second scene, it was a more personal scene. There was more going on inside. So we just framed it so I was more like this, like you might see on an actual TV show, like the top of the head was cut off. So even that element of just playing with storytelling, like knowing that it was tighter on me, I just kind of let everything fall away a little bit more. And it just opened myself up to, have access to an internal life that really brought that scene out,
I love that.
Have fun with it,
Yeah.
Because if we're not having fun, or we're not doing it to win awards, what are we doing it for? I said that to my ex-girlfriend once. I said, if we're not having fun doing this, or if we're not like Jessica Chastain, who says, I need an Oscar, so agents go find me a job where I can now get an Oscar, then, which I'm not saying we should do this for awards.
No, but
if we're not having fun and it's not feeding this, then what's the point?
yeah. I think winning the Oscar, you hear things like walking the red carpet. It's not about the fame and fortune, right? It's what those things mean.
Yeah, it can be for some people, but
For
it's not.
some, yeah, but that's not going to last, right? But what that Oscar award would mean, like that means sacrifice, commitment, right? I mean, and I'm an overcomer. I mean, just so much, just like, walking the red carpet, that should never be the end result, but it's what that means. So maybe it is the end result, or you know, we hope we go beyond the red carpet, but it's what that means, right?
Right.
That means to us, like, wow, look how far I've come. Okay, I see Karen. I see your face now, Karen. So I'll ask you to unmute. We may have answered your question already, so that you may have to go back and watch the replay. But what was your question that you want to ask? Oh, let me ask you to unmute. You're still muted. I'm sorry, Karen. She said she has been technical difficulties. I don't know what else to do. You can type it. Look at Nikki. She said, thank you. She really appreciates you, Josh, donating your time. This has been very beneficial. I love it. Thank you, Nikki, for saying that. Well, oh, Karen's froze. Well, Karen, I'll just have her maybe ask you in Instagram or something. Okay, well, I would love, Josh, if you could just maybe leave us all with just some last minute advice or encouragement to those actors who are pursuing this. And obviously in your 20 years, you've definitely dealt with rejection, and I'm sure lots of no's. So is there anything that you would just want to just any advice you would want to leave us aspiring actors who, you know, it may seem kind of crazy to you, Josh, but a lot of actors, they look at you and they want to be you, right? I want, and I know it seems silly to you, because like, what, man, I'm trying to be, oh, you should tell us. Oh, I want to know. Wait, guys, let's pause. Don't you guys want to know, like, what's next for you, Josh? Like, where are you going? I want to know what's next for you, Josh, real quick. Like, yeah, tell us.
Well, I just shot an indie feature in Nashville, Indiana with, and this goes back to relationship building. A couple of guys I know who I've worked with in different capacities over the years. They both have families and they both have teaching positions, and they've been through grad school, they've been through film school, and they thought, we want to keep creating. How do we do that with the family lives that we have? And they decided to write a feature and then ask a bunch of actors that they've worked with before. And I mean, all of it was so serendipitous, because everyone they wanted, they got. 5 of us, 5 actors, 1 DP / director / writer, 1 director / writer, 1 producer, 1 sound person, 1 hair makeup, 1 COVID compliance officer, and another guy who was like a Renaissance man. He just did everything. 12 of us shot a feature film in 8 days, 106-page feature film in 8 days. And if that doesn't mean anything to some people, which I totally get, it doesn't mean anything to some, if you're not familiar with the process of it, usually that'll take about 30 days and a lot more people. So 8 of us, and the icing on the cake is, I mean, we don't have a cut of it yet, but we've seen the footage and we know what we brought to the table, and it looks really fucking good. And we're all really excited for people to see it. So hopefully it'll make its way to some festivals and get picked up at some point. I mean, that'll be like in another year, but I just wrapped that. And on all those feats, like, it is a project that absolutely fed my soul. On the shadow of a doubt. There was a guy on set who played my father, who's been in this for I don't know how many years, but he said it's hands down the most exhilarating thing he's ever worked on.
Wow. That's beautiful.
It's I didn't know that's why I was getting into acting. And I didn't know it until I stuck with it, until I grew, until I learned. And all of a sudden I get to have these experiences and I'm like, wow, this is what I get to do. We get to come together as a group of people saying, we want to tell this story. Here's my heart. Can I see yours? Great. Here's mine. Great. And by the end of the day, we're telling strangers, like, I love you. I mean, it's all about love. My ex-girlfriend had an acting teacher that always said, where's the love? Where's the love in the scene? It may not be about the other person. It may not be, I love you and this is why. It could be, I love fame and fortune. So what am I going to do in this scene to get fame and fortune from this person? But just where is the, there are no villains in storytelling. There are, but from the actor's perspective, there's no villains. It's just people who are trying to get what they want because they need it, because they want it. There's some need.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I've worked on. And then the rest is just auditions, man. Trying to get the next thing. And something always pops up. So just living.
So I love it. And I love the where's the love. A lot of times I'll tell my students, fall in love with your character. Even if they're a terrible person, a sociopath, a mass murderer, fall in love with them.
Yeah.
But I like what you're saying. Where's the love? Okay, Josh, thank you for that. I wanted to talk about that. And I heard through a friend about your indie film in Tennessee. So I was hoping, or Nashville.
Yeah.
Nashville, Tennessee. I was hoping.
Well, Nashville, Indiana.
Nashville, Indiana.
Yeah, different. It's strange.
Oh.
Nashville, Indiana, not Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, okay. So I was wrong. So I was like, no, wait, Nashville's in Tennessee, but it's also in Indiana. I did not know that. Okay, well, I look forward to learning more about that. Okay, Josh. So just any last minute advice or words of encouragement that you just want to leave us, as we face this incredible dream and face, rejections and no's, and like you said, the ups and downs and dry seasons, and having to build our resume and sometimes maybe take those independent projects that don't pay as much, those student films. I mean, what would you like to say?
I feel like I've ended up saying everything that I wanted to try to impart in this.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, be open to opportunities. You never know. I never knew where they're going to come from, and they always came. Be open to doing things you didn't think you'd be open to doing. I did a one-man show. I said I would never do a one-man show. I had no interest in doing it. It's terrifying. I don't want to do it. A friend of mine came to me and he said, "Hey, I want to direct something. Do you want?" I'm like, "Great. What are you thinking?" One-man show. I'm like, "Damn it." He gave me this play called Nocturne. I read it, and for whatever reason, I read it out loud when I was reading it. I don't always do that, but I read the whole thing out loud and just sobbing. It's about fathers and sons. It's about a father and son. It's about it's a gorgeous story, and I couldn't not do it after I read it, and I did it, and it was one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done for myself, and I know that other people were touched by it as well at times. Be open to whatever comes your way. I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know where it's going to come from. I didn't know I was going to work on this thing for a week in Nashville, Indiana. It just happened. I laid groundwork to get there, but it's just one foot in front of the other. And be good to yourself too. Don't be hard on yourself. Whatever the path is going to be the path, and it's meant to be. Kelsey, you said at the beginning, like, you think I'm right where I need to be. All of us here tonight, I think, are right where we need to be. Because we're here. I'm not anyplace else right now. I'm right here. So of course it's right where I need to be, right? Sometimes that will look like I have no job. Looks like I have nothing going on career-wise. I have no relationship. Okay. What does that mean? Nothing. Just means I have no job. I have no relationship at the moment. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that's where I am in life.
You got more me time.
What's it?
You have more me time by not having all those responsibilities.
Yeah, right. Grass is always greener.
Yeah.
Right. If I'm working, like, I've often thought about that. What happens when I get that series regular on an NBC show?
Ooh, that's true.
Getting up at 4 a.m. If I want to get a workout in, I know my diet will have to change. A bunch of shit will have to change, and I got to be ready for that. So enjoy my time now. I have the freedom to do whatever the hell I want to do. There will come a time that I might not, and I'll have to show up and work. I will also get to be working, which is great, but more me time.
Isn't that so true? Like, well, it reminds me of when I was launching my business and like I couldn't wait to get to the point where I'm launching like my ads and such, right? And then it finally happens, but then I didn't put into account of all the time and the commitment, the money, like what that was going to bring out. I almost wish I was like, man, I wish I could go back before I launched this. It was, life was a little bit easier. Why was I trying to rush? It's like, why, how some people want to, they can't wait to be an adult. I was like, well,
Yeah, slow down.
slow down. I wish I would have stayed with my mom and dad. I couldn't wait to get out at 18. And I'm like, I wish Mom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I had it good here, you know? So yeah, what I hear you say, Josh, is enjoy the ride, enjoy the process, guys. There's no, almost like I want to tell you guys all, like I hear, find the wins. What's the win for today? You know, maybe watching this masterclass is the win. Today's
And the wins might not look like what you think they look like.
No.
I had an experience on set that was almost devastating. I thought I was going to get fired from a feature film. I wasn't doing what the director wanted. I didn't know why, but I wasn't doing what he wanted. He berated me in front of the entire set. It was terrifying. And I called a buddy of mine after that and I'm like, hey man, this just happened. He's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm going to teach a class. I'll call you right back. He calls me back. I tell him what happened. He's like, I'm so sorry that happened to you, but here are the wins. He didn't say it like that, but he said, but here's what happened. You had to show up. I had to show up and shoot somebody as a cop. I had to walk on set and pretend what that's like. It wasn't just a line of, here, sir, here are your pages. It was like, I had to jump on set and do this thing and imagine what that's like instantly. Wow. Because first of all, you were asked to do that. You eventually did it because you didn't get fired. You were berated by the director in front of the entire production, and you still showed up and delivered.
Yeah.
He said, I don't know if, and this guy's a great actor. He's a great guy. And he said, I don't know if I could have done that. Maybe he could have. I believe he probably could have. But like, those are the wins, right? Not the fact that I got yelled at.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of wins in that. So it's, you know, what is my story going to be? Is it the story of I got yelled at because I didn't do what I was supposed to do? What's wrong with me? I'm a terrible actor. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't bring myself to a role. I didn't act from here. Or is it I was asked to do a job. The director didn't like it for whatever reason. I don't know. But I was able to do it and show up.
Yes, but I gave 100%. And yeah, you're right, Josh. There's two stories there.
Yep.
One's a really sad, depressing story. And one's happy and positive, one I would like to read. So yes, focus on the wins and focus on the yeses. Actors, you know, we want to focus on the no's so much, you know, and I'm guilty of that too, you know, focusing on all the no's, but I'm focusing on all my yeses. Like, you know, for me personally as an acting coach, you know, maybe, yes, I've gotten some students tell me no, but I got a lot of yeses too. And I can look back and see all my yeses. And, you know, even for you, Josh, you know, there's gonna be some auditions that you book, but some you don't, but focus on all the ones you did. Like
there's a lot I don't book.
Lot you don't, that's okay. There's a lot you don't, yeah, but
that's the
reality. But then
look at this wonderful opportunity in Nashville, Indiana. That's a win. You didn't even know there was a place. And you worked on a film. Personally, what I would love to work on is sounds like it has meaning. It has purpose.
A lot. Yeah.
Not only to the audience, but clearly it touched you. And that's why I wake up.
Yeah.
And that's why I do this every day. You know, my beautiful students like Ingrid, I see Benjamin, Nikki, Omer is on here, Nicholas, Carrie, my students, and some new faces too. You know, they're the reason why I wake up. You know, I get to see them go after their dream, and that's purpose that drives me, that fuels me. And there's days I want to quit too. Mm-hmm. Right. But then I'm reminded of who I am, and you're reminded of who you are, Josh, and why you're here. And I just keep going back to what you said, knowing that you are enough, guys. That's so powerful. That's so powerful, because you are enough, and every single one of you are enough. You all are enough. Okay. And, you know, perhaps you get a no, but what I tell my students, well, then it's just on to the next one, you know? If this is a no, well, it must mean that there's something better. And
There's
so-
always going to be so many no's. There's just, it's numbers, you know. The no's are going to outnumber the yeses until you become that household name
Yeah.
and you can pick your own projects.
And that's okay, guys, you know? All right. Well, I still say yes to me. So there's a no, but on to the next, right? As long as I own who I am, that even though that no does not define me. I'm still the amazing, successful, highly talented, Kelsey Jimenez. So that's okay, guys. Just on to the next.
Yeah.
So wonderful. Well, thank you. Man, thank you, Josh. What a treat.
Thank you.
I knew this was going to be amazing, guys. We connected right away. Thank you for being here and just spending your time with us and just
Absolutely.
sharing your story. It's so encouraging to meet someone who, we've seen on the screen. Like I said, we kind of secretly all want to be, and just you're so humble and so down to earth. Thank you for sharing with us your process. Guys, I hope you wrote some of this stuff down. To pay attention, focus on others, go after the fear. You are enough. And it's okay that if this is the only thing you're good at, because acting is, I can remember being in, grade school, and what do you want to be when you grow up? It was always an actress. Like, this is the only thing I'm ever good at. So maybe that means that this is what I'm supposed to do. So congratulations on you, Josh, for finding your purpose. I don't think it was a coincidence that person on the waiting list or the person dropped out and you got in. I think that was all divinely orchestrated. I'm just here to just speak that over you right now, Josh. You were supposed to connect with me at my school. You were supposed to share your story with my students. So I feel very blessed for this opportunity. So I know we're going to work in the future more. You guys know that this is Josh's first masterclass. And did he do amazing? When I presented this to him, he was like, I don't know if I could do that, Kelsey. I don't know if I have anything to offer. I was like, don't you worry. I'm going to take over.
You just asked me to talk about myself, and I can do that.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, it's going to be an interview style. I'm going to take over. It's going to be so much fun. He's like, okay.
Well, I learned a lot as well. And all of this stuff that, the things that you're saying that you're taking away that I said, it only, because I can forget all that stuff really quickly and really easily, especially the I'm enough.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So just the act of you saying, hey, Josh, what, you got some? Well, it's a reminder to me that I am enough. So it helps me. It helps me just as much to be here talking about this stuff. So yeah, thank you.
Well, you are enough. You just keep telling yourself that. All right, actors. Well, you have a fantastic Wednesday. Thank you for being here. You guys, reach out to me. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm going to try to connect to those who I haven't met and maybe send you guys my free ebook, send you guys some love. Okay. There's a masterclass next week. So I would love to invite you to that as well. Just again, thank you. Thank you for showing up. This is the win today. Each and every one of you are moving that much closer. So thank you all. And thank you, Josh. And everyone, have a fantastic evening. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Everybody.
Bye, Josh. Bye, one.